I have on headphones with this microphone. It's this little Rode mic that connects to your iPhone, and it's been phenomenal. I bought it at Best Buy over the holiday season. We were out and I needed to get an external hard drive, and I thought this is a great opportunity to grab one of these too because I have like the little mic guy. I don't know if I have it near me, but it's like the little lapel mic that you can speak into, and I'd always feel so silly when I would speak into it because I wouldn't necessarily want to wear it on my lapel. I was just like doing, what do you call that? Voiceovers for video. So anyway, I thought, oh, I'll just try this out because the reviews were mixed. And I think overall, it's a fantastic little mic. It's like $80 at Best Buy. It's Rode. And anyway, so last week, what happened when I went live is that we're on a boat, right? And it's in a marina right now. And people come here to use their boats. So I can't fault him at all. Our neighbor came to run his engines, and he just has like a ginormous boat engine. I think he has two of them. And it's so loud. My face was vibrating. It was so loud. Anyway, I couldn't hear myself and it was so distracting. So anyway, I have mics now or a headset on with this, and it makes such a huge difference. So today I thought we would set up a card deck. I don't have any of my like usual upper third pieces that I've done to let you know as you come in what we're doing and what the topic is of the video. It is a vertical video because I am on 5G using T-Mobile here in the Pacific Northwest. We are based out of the San Juan Islands, and today it's going to be interesting because I don't think there's any science behind what I'm about to say, and I don't think there's any reasoning as to why this would really affect it, but the winds have been picking up around here the last couple days, and my cell service has been pretty poor. This happens often where the wind will go up, and I swear my cell service is poor. So you'll have to tell me if I'm totally crazy. But that's just like a correlation that I've noticed. And today it'll be interesting to see how this live stream goes on 5G. I guess there's something with YouTube that they recommend if you're on mobile to go vertical. So I thought I'll just lean into that, even though I really do prefer the horizontal look and feel of participating in that kind of live stream. But it's cool. Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming live. I'm so excited. I really enjoy these because I get to chat with you, and I'm grateful that I was able to schedule this in. My husband works on our boat too remotely, and he often goes off and does activities during lunch, which is why I scheduled it at lunchtime. And he went to go sail in our little sailing dinghy now, so I have some quiet time here. This is my card deck that we're going to be working from, and it's totally fresh and new, and I thought we would just set up a basic card deck together and we could chat while I did it. So last night I got this going. This is my current card deck. You can see this is what I'm going to be doing once I'm done. Today on the live stream, I'm going to be taking care of documenting what I do each day in a short. I've been putting out shorts every day to just stay accountable. It's worked out pretty effectively too, where I think, oh, I have to write because I have to tell people I wrote the next day, which sounds silly, but it's actually worked out pretty well. Don't disregard accountability. I really do think that's helpful. And I'm noticing I don't have a pop filter, so I'll try not to get too close to the mic because I can hear that in my headphones. So last night what I did is I set up, you can see here, this is my little mobile printer and I actually really love this printer. It was recommended by cruisers because you can't necessarily have a printer set up on a boat all the time. And when you're checking into foreign countries, you often have to have a lot of documentation ready. And we were planning to cruise south to Mexico last year, so we had everything all set to go. So anyway, this is my mobile printer. I popped it out on our pilot house table last night and printed out a couple things. So I printed out it's just a $3 product that I have on the website that's just date dividers. And so if you go to Time and Tide Plans on Etsy, which is just timeandtideplans.etsy.com, you can grab these or you can DIY it and make it yourself. So I printed out the just date dividers, which includes these monthly calendars, their calendar cards, as well as the daily date dividers and the monthly dividers, just to keep it really simple, because you can also do like miscellaneous dividers, and I don't know, there's other things you can do with it, but I thought just keep it chill. And then I went ahead, this is really flattering. Oh, but I was like, I need to document that I'm doing this. I watched Walter Mitty with the family, and I cut out my cards. And it did take a while. Like, I see that in the feedback sometimes that, it takes a long time to set this up. But my take on it is that, for one, I think it's kind of relaxing, touching, and like making your own planner and doing all that stuff. It's kind of like crafting for me. It's like when I watch other people's plan with me videos and they're doing all the cute stationery stuff, I kind of take that as that time. But also, once I've set it up once, I never have to cut them out again in theory. And I did the bulk of my planner cards. So this is my latest 12-week year. I did one again at the beginning of the year, and then I have one at the end of this year. Well, it starts at the end of August and ends at the end of November, I believe. So I have all those cards already cut and ready. I got that ready in January, and so I don't have to do that stuff again. I'm mainly just doing this to show you guys and to have fun with it. And also just to test out, like, what's the pain points? What can I chat with people about as I'm going about all of this? So that's what I did last night. So again, that was that one product that's just $3, or you can go to your local grocery store or drugstore and grab them. I haven't really been able to find blank dividers myself, but I know they exist. They're on Amazon. They're all sorts of places, so you can do that too. And then there's also a free product that I offer that is planner cards. I should have linked all of that stuff below, but I am assuming you already have all of this. So I'll keep all of this discussion brief, but this is the planner card piece. And here's week 1 through 12, because the planner cards are going off of the 12-week year, which is a book you can read. And that's just taking your goals and bringing it down into 12 weeks rather than the standard, New Year's resolution, complete something in a year. Instead, you're giving yourself forced limitations, and I really enjoy it. So with that, you're cutting out each week divider, which functions as your scorecard. And then you're also cutting out a plan divider, which is going to function as your mind map of all the different tactics you can take to reach your goal. And then you have these blank dividers that have dot grid on it. I really like the dot grid. It's faint rather than just like the lines or just a straight up blank index card, because it just gives me a guide to make things straight, and then gives me the freedom to manipulate the card as I would like, whether it's in a some form of like this one where you're tracking your habits or tracking something you're doing every day, or it's in the standard sidetracked home executives. Actually, I have a card out that I just finished. It's all crinkly because I put it in my back pocket, where you have your time that you do at each, your, what do you call it, the increment, how often you do some type of tactic or activity, and then how long it takes you, the title of the activity, and then the description below. I added a little graphic because I like the cards to be pretty, and I like to look at pretty things, and it's also just a visual cue that lets me know what's coming up. So anyway, and then it's highlighted in a specific color. But when I DIY the cards, I use highlighters. I pulled out these from my backpack. I have to say, you'll have to let me know what your thoughts are on these highlighters, because I've noticed they're very trendy right now. This square thing, I don't get it. Like, I really don't. It's hard to hold, feels uncomfortable, and I don't know. I like the midliners, but I keep these in my backpack for when I'm just out waiting for laundry to be done, and I have usually a travel journal and my pack of cards with me. And nowadays I have a legal pad too that I'm using for writing my novel, which is my recent 12-week year that I'm working towards. The video on the specifics of the scorecard and how you do it, I mean, I have a lot of videos on the 12-week year, which, and how I set it up with the cards. And so it's like you have to endure the whole video in order to get that one little piece. But that's a good idea. I should break it down. I did a post where I broke down how to set up the card deck in just like a single image and post so that people could use it for reference. So I'll have to do that for the scorecard too, because that's a great idea. Yeah, they do dry out quickly. That's so true. I really do like the midliner highlighters, but that's just me. And I also think they're fancy. I don't know. There's something about it where I think I'm like fancier when I'm doing my planning or taking notes rather than doing like the Sharpie or the other highlighter that's out. All right, so let's go ahead and pull apart what I printed out. So I've got all of the monthly cards. This is, again, just the Just Date Divider product that's on Etsy. And you could make these yourself too using an index card where you just go, this is my reference point, because what my goal with all of this is that I'm trying to stay off my phone. I don't want to have to go to my phone to reference what the date is. And so much of the planner card system is that you're rotating or shuffling the cards, and with that there's no like Monday the 1st is, a Tuesday or whatever it is. There's no Tuesday. And I've played around with adding, and I even have it in a past video, I think like from 2020 or 2021, where I had these like side tabs here that would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I was using I think I was using this bag or the older black bag that I had. I had one before this where the zipper broke off, and I've had this one since 2020 or 2021. And I really like this brand. It's a cheap one that's just off Amazon. I like it because the zipper has stayed on, because it's such a flexible bag when you zip it up. It's just kind of nice. So anyway, going back to the dividers. And sorry, the calendars is what we were chatting about, huh? So you have your calendar cards that you're setting up, and this is for reference. If you're using the Sidetracked Home Executives book, they talk about having a card box, and then you have the year at a glance that's on it that you can use for reference, which works too. But for myself, because I am so focused on things just outside of the general maintenance, I really was a planner girl beforehand. I liked to use my passion planner. I liked writing lists. I liked keeping track of holidays. And because we were homeschooling too, so much of what I was doing was around holidays, fun stuff. All my units would be based around like the different themes that were happening just culturally too. And so I would write notes or things for goals within my card deck. So I like having this be a separate piece that's a focus point. And plus, when I start my morning and I prime, I really like the idea that I'm sitting down and I'm saying today is the 17th. Because sometimes I'll go throughout my day and I'll have no idea what date it is. So that's just another little plus, that you know what day it is and you're grounded in what day of the week it is, especially if you're a homeschool mom or you're like living and working from your home and you're just responsible. If you're like a self-employed business owner type, then it's just sometimes you get lost in what day it is. So I just like having that touch point. So anyway, you have your monthly card. I highlight where my 12-week year starts and stops. So and by the way, this is a Sunday start. I know a lot of you are Monday starts, which is an option too within the card deck. But you would just highlight the date, that's the start, and then the end. You highlight the end because that's when your weekly accountability meeting is. It's WAM, WAM for short, and just fun and cutesy corporate jargon. The book is very much feels like you should be in an office space as a salesperson. It really speaks to that demographic. So take it for what it is and be creative about how you apply it to your life. This is how I applied it to my life. So you highlight that, and that's when you're going to evaluate your progress. And one of the things about the scorecard using these weekly pieces is that it does keep you really honest at the end of the week. You set the expectation on that weekly accountability meeting for the week ahead. On the weekly accountability meeting, you're able to then look back, see the cards that you've completed, because each of these cards are single tasks. They're not necessarily lists. They could be lists, they could be habit trackers, whatever it is. You then take whatever information is in front of your week one and then compare it to what it is that you had set up the expectation for, and you're then able to give yourself a score. I mean, hopefully you're able to evaluate and make changes, or maybe just continue on based off of how you performed that week. So I really appreciate the scorecard. I really appreciate having the cards have single tasks on them. It allows me to focus on one action at a time. I'm definitely somebody that is constantly thinking of all the different things I should be doing. The thing that I appreciated the most about doing Sidetracked Home Executives, which I really wanted to apply into my planner world and like the greater world of who I was outside of my home, was this idea that I was only focusing on one single task and I didn't have a to-do list where I was looking at and thinking, I need to do da 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 da, and I have to do everything and I have to get it all done. You know, you see these videos, and I watch them all the time too, where it's get it all done videos. It's where, you know, you take one day and you clean out the entire house, which is great entertainment and it's fun. But as far as practicality goes, it's not the best way I've found myself to live out my days, where I'm constantly thinking I should be doing, I have to do this, I have to wait for the perfect day to do it. The cards really allow you to break that down and say, you know, I use this example often because it just comes to mind first. Wash the floors. I'm not constantly thinking I need to wash the floors. It's on one single card. It's shuffled to the date I need to do it. And I don't think about it until Monday comes around and I see that card there. And I think that's a practice that doesn't happen overnight. I think it takes time as you're going throughout your day that you're able to get into that flow and trust that you'll eventually get to those things, because sometimes it feels really hard. And that's another thing that this index card system really helps with, is that it gives you the permission to yourself. You're thinking, oh, I don't need to get it all done. I don't have to do everything and push myself and be stressed about it, because I know eventually it will get done. It gives you that permission to say, I'm not going to dust today, even though you might see that the dust is collecting somewhere. The most important things to focus on are the things that you plan for that day. And that's especially helpful with the 12-week year as I'm going. And this has happened to me for like years. When it comes to working out or taking care of my body, if I'm going to go out for a walk and I say I need to walk for an hour and I should do it first thing in the morning. Well, that first thing in the morning comes around. I mean, that's what everybody says, right? Do it first thing so you get it done. It's like Mona brought up the Eat the Frog, and she has that in her video. You guys should check it out. Where she has frogs. You do it first thing in the morning. But the problem is there's so many other little fires around you where you're like, I just need to do this. I need to do that. And so it gives you that peace of mind saying, I'm going to eventually do it. This is when I'm going to be walking and I need to get that done first. That's also a priority. So I think I got off on a tangent. Sorry. All right, so we're setting up the card deck. So I have my months, I have my weeks here, I have the blank task cards and the plan. So this could be for your 12-week year. It could be for, I have a fun card deck that is going to be great, or if you're interested in having fun, it's great for summer. I did it last year when we had engine issues and it was so stressful and I had to be off the boat all the time, and it was so hard to think of what we were going to do that was going to keep the kids amused or myself even happy, you know, just like staying positive. And so we did this fun card, or a fun, I think I called them mini adventures. I did some research around it, and there are different prompts. So anyway, there's a lot of different ways that you could take it. You could take this card deck and just make it be specifically, if you're trying to grow a YouTube channel, it could be your YouTube card planner or your YouTube planner. It could be a content planner if you're an Instagram person. It could be for your work. Somebody commented a long time ago about not being able to see herself taking this into an office environment. And I totally get that. I think that would be difficult too. But I mean, you could definitely do it. You could do it for meal planning, for recipes. So it doesn't have to be like me where it's a catch-all for planner. It could be in one area of your life. I know that I'm the only one I know that uses a planner for keeping her house clean. Somehow, everybody else I know is just able to keep a clean house and be chill about it. And for whatever reason, my brain really needs to have some organization around how I get things done and when I do it. So you can just be creative about it, I guess, and decide how you want to do it. With the date dividers, I do have a space to note each day something of importance. I use it for memory, and I really enjoy it, especially when I was talking about themes and holidays. I have coming up today. 1 year ago was the first day we were able to anchor out after having to replace our entire engine room. And it was a huge thing for us because we had winter moorage and we were 17 days late to getting off the dock. And it was so stressful because you'd see the people working at the marina, and you'd see all these yacht clubs come into the guest moorage, and we would be the one like old sailboat there with all these like super fancy yachts around us. And I was like, I need to get back on anchor. So anyway, that was a date that was on the 17th. I have a video that talks about how I transfer all of those important anniversaries that I remember over to my calendar to celebrate each week or each year. But you don't have to set it up for memories. You can set it up for, important milestones. So going back to the YouTube piece, because this is where I think I started really talking about the card system in the 12-week year, was when I was trying to grow this YouTube channel. And so for it, if you were just to do the YouTube piece, you could then put January 2025 is what you would put there. See, it rotates. So we're on May, you would write 24 here, and then you would write some type of milestone, whether it be like a subscriber count you're going after, watch hours, whatever it is, or maybe an activity or action that you took for that day. You would write that down. When the day's over, you'd shuffle it over, all the cards and tasks that you have for the second, you would then go ahead and take care of. So again, you can be creative. When I was doing the fun cards, the fun activity, we did some memory keeping on in a travel journal that was more along the lines of like doodles. So I wasn't keeping specific memories like that. I actually have, oh my goodness, I pulled this out. So you could, instead of using the lines, you could do more of like a dot grid experience and do little doodles where you would say June and then a doodle here. So maybe you were only using the card deck for the summer. You could kind of play around with that. This one was fun. So we did like a magic activity where we learned magic tricks, and we watched the Shia LaBeouf video. I showed it to my kids. It's funny. So anyway, so there's like little doodles that you could do. You could get really creative with your memory keeping there. So let's go ahead and take our monthly cards, and let's pretend that we're starting tomorrow, which is May 18th. So everything that is from 1 to the 17th is going to stand for June 1st through the 17th. So those already went by for May. Here's your 18th. So this is nice because you can use this and get started at any time of year. I'm just reading a couple of the comments real fast just to make sure. Mona has the side tabs. So from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I think that's what she's talking about. And she says they're helpful. So that's good to know. And then I've been trying to set up my cards through Canva, but I'm concerned if I upgrade, I'll lose what I set up if I don't pay for every year. I'm doing it because I want to use my 12 by 12 printer. Interesting. Well, it depends on what it is that you're using Canva for, right? Because if you're upgrading for Canva, it's because you're trying to resize easily. That's one of their upgrade features. And I think Cheryl's asking because my card decks are customizable using Canva. And so if you upgrade on Canva, then it is, as far as I understand, and I'm definitely, you would have to double check this on your own because it is a third-party service. So I don't know the ins and outs completely, but I'd imagine all the things that you've used in the past would stay there. The only things that would be limited is if you use those upgraded images. So if you do a doodle with a little crown on it that's there, that's probably not going to be available still for you to print out without the watermark on it later on if you're no longer subscribing. You would subscribe then if you're trying to resize to a different size, right? But then as far as I understand, that size would still be available to you. It would just be the action of resizing the page in that one single instance that would not be available to you in the future. But maybe I'm wrong. So definitely double check that. I really love Canva. I don't know about you guys. I'm creating a chore wheel on it right now. And I was just thinking how incredible it is because I used to pay for Photoshop, Premiere Pro, and whatever, I forget whatever that one it was. That was like the one where you animated things for work, and it was so expensive every month. And now I have Canva, which you can remove the background on videos, photos you can play with for thumbnail, and it's so inexpensive compared to what I was paying. So anyway, I really like Canva. So I have all of these cards that are ready to go. If this is May goes to the 31st. So I have the 31 there. And then let's go ahead and take these cards here and we'll go ahead and organize them. So a lot of this is, I know a lot of people see this and they're like, this is overkill, Jen. Why do you need a card system to do all this stuff? And I said in my recent video that if you feel like that, that's totally fine because you're probably reaching your goals and doing great things. And there's just some of us, myself included, needs a little help. And I don't have a personal assistant. I look at these celebrities. I really love watching interviews and different things with them on YouTube. And it's just so funny to think they probably have personal assistants that help them dress, that help them choose hair and makeup, that tell them where and when to do things. When we're looking at the superhero movies, all these people have trainers that got them into the shape. I love to follow, oh gosh, what was her name? She was Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy, and she's training right now for Mission Impossible, the latest one. And somebody makes her food every day and she doesn't have to think about it. And I just think that's where some people operate from. The idea that someone's helping them throughout their entire life. So the idea that I have a card deck or you use a planner or whatever it is to assist you, I think that's a fair exchange for time and expertise. You're doing whatever it is that's going to assist you. So anyway, going back. I have all of those cards that's in front of the June divider. For June divider, the way that I use it is I use it for my monthly accountability meeting. And it's not called a monthly accountability meeting. That's the weekly accountability. It's like monthly reflection. There's a card that I go through, but you can also do all sorts of different activities. Sometimes I'll see people that post things online that has different questions based off of the season or the month or whatever, and sometimes I'll choose to answer those prompts. But for the most part, it's pretty simple. It's you look back and see how you did over the month, whatever you put your priorities. A lot of the ways that I was able to do that is look through my memory keeping piece to see how I was prioritizing things or what I was choosing as my memory. Is pretty it made things clear how the month behaved and progressed, and I was able to comment on that. And then also just seeing what cards were shuffled or skipped too was helpful. And when it came to the 12-week year, what my scorecard was, all of those things were really helpful, and you could make adjustments as you went. But anyway, so that's how I use it. You could use it for doodles. I've used it in the past to list holidays and events that were coming up instead of that monthly card where I would put more of a goal-oriented space. Cheryl, I want a person to do my makeup in here, a cook and a driver. I do too. Can I just tell you that I went to Disneyland for spring break with my family and had the best time. And we went to downtown Disney on our last day to go like have coffee and that kind of thing. And I went into a Sephora store, which, we're in an island. And when I do go to the mainland, it's to the Burlington area. And if you've ever been to Burlington, it's like this oddly shaped Target and just, like standard stuff. So anyway, we went to there. I went into Sephora and I was blown away because you forget if you don't go into that, like the standard or the place where so many other people are at. And you think, oh my goodness, I don't have access to this stuff. I don't have this. All these other women have all these products that they're adding to their face to look beautiful. And it was just a nice reminder, like, this is where some people operate from. I'm not saying that's bad at all because I would love that. But that's not where I'm at right now. So it's just, I agree. Someone to do my makeup, someone to do my hair, especially out in this weather with like humidity. Someone to chill my hair out would be great. I saw somebody that was on Instagram the other day with a round brush that was taking the time to round brush and blow dry someone's hair. And I thought that was heaven. That was incredible. And her hair looked so good and it was smooth and there was no frizz. I thought, wow, that would be great. So anyway, you can do whatever you want for these months. We have July there, you've got June there, and then you have your May. So these are all the date dividers that we still have to go through for May. And that's set up. I put my monthly cards in front of each day. I'm just shuffling it because this is my use. This is where I reference when I'm trying to shuffle the different cards. And then finally, what I do with the rest of these cards is I just go ahead and place them in front of the month that's coming up. So for June, I would actually place it in front of the first because that's just, again, for reference. And I'm able to then shuffle cards appropriately. But for the following months, that's just in front of it. So for July, I'm going ahead and going in front. And I'll do that for the rest of the cards too as I get started. Do you sell a card deck for the 12-week year? I don't currently because this is just my fourth 12-week year that I've gone through. I would love to sell templates with different card setups that you could just pick up and move off of. Like when it came to habit trackers and scorecard, that type of thing. I did make my YouTube cards available on the shop, and I've heard a couple people that have just edited it on Canva and used it for their 12-week year, even though they're not trying to grow a YouTube channel. So that's definitely something you could do. I love the idea of doing that. But at the same time, I think the 12-week year is so personal, especially when it comes to, I don't know, even if I were to do fitness, I would feel weird about selling like a templated piece. I think if there was a lot of different options for how you were to develop your 12-week year, that would be different rather than just doing what I did. Because for one, I am still like, I'm still contemplating how I did for the 12-week year. Because when it came down to it, I swear, you guys, I really should have just cut out sugar much earlier than I did. I really think that's a regret that I had. I should have just, because you look around and you think, why can't I have sugar? Because everybody else seems to be totally fine and happy and like in good shape and can still eat a cookie here and there. That brings me to another thing really fast before I set up the rest of the week. Here's something that's been bugging me, right? No, I'm not right because you don't even know what I'm talking about yet. But I was doing laundry today and I had a YouTube video that went on. I was walking while I was waiting for the laundry to go on. Look how many steps I got too. So I'm pretty happy with that. But anyway, I was walking around town while I was waiting for my laundry, and this podcast came on with two men that I've heard before, but it was weird because it played it out of the blue and I haven't listened to them for quite a while. And they were talking about doing hard things. And I really agree with that. I think there's a lot of value in doing hard stuff. I think the memories are much stronger and usually more comedic later on when you're thinking about some hard things that you did, especially like with our boat life. The memories that are strongest for myself and my family, I've noticed, are all the really hard things we had to go through and some of the funny things that ensued when we were in that moment. But then also, I think there's a lot of room for growth, obviously, and learning opportunities when you're doing those hard things. But the idea that you have to grit, like stick things through like that is difficult for me to hear after cutting out sugar and I stopped drinking actually a year ago as of June 1st. And I think with not eating sugar and not drinking, it made me open my eyes to the idea of willpower. And the more that you cut out the need for willpower, how powerful that is, so that if you're setting up like little games like this, like the card deck for yourself, where you're just kind of playing and having fun and you're taking pressure off yourself, life is much more enjoyable that way, but also doing things that are hard, it makes it a lot easier and more fun and more likely that you would keep going. So I don't remember why I started talking about that. Maybe it was sugar. I don't remember. But anyway, the idea that you're setting yourself up where you don't have to engage willpower at all. And I guess the reason why I bring it up with sugar too is because I feel like with that, whether any kind of like addictive substance like that, where you're going back and there's some kind of thing where you're having to engage the willpower and not to do that activity, it's so hard to just cut it off completely has really helped where I'm not thinking, oh, I can only eat candy on a Saturday or that type of thing. It just has helped me a lot and it freed up so much space in my mind. So why not set yourself up with that really great foundation to begin with, where you're not thinking about all those little things that are pulling you back down or pulling you back into those poor behaviors. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. But I have all my months set up here. So I put them all in front of the months that are set up to come. I've got November here, December 2024, January 2025, and so on. And then let's go ahead and set up our weeks for the 12-week year. I personally pick the 12-week year as one single focus, and I know a lot of people don't. There's a wax stick for flyaways. I love it for my hair. Oh my goodness. That sounds wonderful. What happens if your entire hair is a flyaway? It's so windy here. I put on a hat to go walking because my hair is so, when it gets to this point, especially without blow drying it or flat ironing it, it just poof, and the hair just it does whatever it wants. You also motivated me to do 20,000 steps a day. I am assuming steps. That's awesome. I think that's another point. Like moving your body and getting in that physical activity is such a help, especially before when I was in the wintertime. I was like, if you tell me to go for a walk, I'm not going to walk because I'm not going to do what you said I should do. It's such a process, right? It's a journey to get out of that stage. And then once you start going, you get that momentum. It feels so good. Then it's not hard anymore. And I don't know. You guys, I just don't know. So just, I don't know. Have fun with it, I guess. So then you have the weeks. And let's go ahead and pretend that we are going to start the 12-week year off on the 19th as our first. I personally wouldn't do that close because that is a lot to figure out in such a short amount of time. And then also what I did this time, which I am deeply regretting right now, deeply, was that the first week or so of my 12-week year for becoming a better writer. I mean, it really doesn't matter other than the little game I've created for myself in my head, right? That I need to finish a novel in 12 weeks. That the first week, and this is mentioned in the book too. When you give yourself 12 weeks to accomplish a goal, each week is going to be really precious to you, and you're going to feel that need to keep going or go harder or do whatever you need to do to accomplish this goal. So anyway, the first week I was like, I'm going to go light on myself and give myself a lot of small wins because the year prior, that 12-week year that I did the fitness piece, I didn't do a lot of the things that I had wanted to do within that 12-week year, and it was so upsetting. And it really hurt each week as I was going into the next week, my chances of actually doing well the next week. So anyway, I gave myself these small wins, and now I'm at the point where I've spent 2 of my 12 weeks doing these small wins, and I worked out the math. And in order for me to figure out, I wrote it down. In order for me to finish my novel now, the time blocking thing, you guys, I just made a video up about it, and I'm going to talk more about it tomorrow when I do my weekly accountability meeting. But it's kind of, this has been a real sticky point for me this week, this realization that I don't have all the time in the world when I really feel like I should, is that I write a page, right? See, I did the math. I write a certain amount of pages, or I write a page every 25 minutes. On average. Some days I write more and some I've written less. And in order for me to finish my novel on average, I'll have to spend 97 hours in the next 10 weeks, which makes up about an hour and a half a day moving forward. And I have 25 minutes set aside right now each day. So this is going to get interesting. That's another point. Time block is wonderful. Also, morning pages is wonderful because it helps you figure out. That was part of my morning pages today, was to figure that out. And it just helps release all these different things. And then it makes your brain start to try and solve things for yourself. They're just wonderful. So I would highly recommend doing morning pages if you're doing a card deck or setting up a 12-week year or doing whatever it is that you're doing as far as goal setting goes. And then also time blocking, because so much of what I wasn't able to accomplish is because I literally had no time in the day for it. And that doesn't mean that I was, super busy or important or, off the boat all the hours of the day. It was just that I had assigned certain hours of the day to do certain things, and I had to have made drastic changes to begin with, and that was just something that I wish I would have realized sooner in doing each of my 12-week years. And it's definitely something I'm still struggling with. This week I did a full-on time blocking schedule, and it's been working really well for me. And I'll have to talk about it more tomorrow when I really think about it, but I don't know why. I don't feel like I'm on a schedule now, but it's been very helpful. All right, now that I got off on another tangent, let's see. So let's go ahead and use pink because this is pretty. I have my midliner set that I got from Target. I think I've talked about before. It uses weird colors in it. There's like 20 different highlighters, but I only like 3 of them. I feel like everyone should make highlighters in really simple, obvious highlighter colors. But maybe that's just me. I just don't see what the need for a brown highlighter is. All right, so that's going to start on the 19th, and then it'll end on the 25th. I'm going to go ahead and do my start dates in pink, and let's do the end dates in purple. And that is going to just let me know weekly accountability meeting is coming up there, and then I'll write week 1, week 2, and so on. And then from there, I see that my week 1 is ending after the 25th. So I would put my week 1 behind the 25th, and that would be my scorecard. Just to give you a quick idea of what the scorecard is, when you read the 12-week year, it talks about lead and lag. The difference between what I do on my card deck and what you would do on a traditional planner is that I don't use this as a to-do list or something that I'm referencing each day. It is simply the scorecard. And I have set it up in all sorts of different ways. Sometimes I set up my scorecard prior to the week, just like a week in advance. Sometimes I'll do a few weeks beforehand. So I'll do week 1 through 3 before the 12-week year starts. I've also done week 1 through 6 at one point, and I think I had to go back and make changes. So I'm trying to be more careful, but definitely setting it up before the week begins is really helpful. I do like having things set up in advance because it eliminates a lot of the decision fatigue when it comes to deciding whether or not I should do some action each week. I've already set it up so I don't have to think about it. Have you tried writing in an audio app while doing the dishes or walking? Mona, you are brilliant. No, I didn't think about that. But then again, I don't know. I'm always around people. This is at lunchtime is my one time to be quiet because we live on a boat. And so I don't know. I think that would be fun. My kids would just be like, who are you talking to, Mom? So when I'm doing my scorecard, I write my affirmation up at the top, and somebody commented on Instagram recently, hello, if you're watching, that I wrote, I'm becoming an author, and that's not a perfect affirmation in my mind, but I think the 12-week year talks about this, where you're affirming the place you're going to. You're not trying. It's like Yoda, right? What does he say? Do not try, just do. Something like that. Oh, there's waves. So anyway, I try to be really careful about what I'm writing for my affirmation on my scorecard, also with my vision board. That's another thing that you could add to this card deck. But again, it's just, I wanted to do it as basic as possible. One of these cards, the action cards, you could write out your affirmation as well as set up a vision board, and maybe your vision board isn't necessarily with photos, but you're scripting out where it is that you're headed, what your future is, what you want to feel and look like in a year or 3 years or a lifetime, or maybe just at the end of the 12 weeks. So that's two other ideas. So the affirmation, just be careful about what it is that you're reciting back. That's how I take it, at least. And then I write my lead actions here and my lag on the other side. I write this week I am, because again, you're writing in an affirmative way. When they say to the way that the authors describe writing your tactics for the lead, it's in a very action-oriented way that says that you're doing something. And I catch myself making this mistake often. And I know there's small points. This is another reason why I really like writing out things, having this blank page, even though it's intimidating to get started. I do like that because you're telling your brain, this is what I'm doing, and it's affirming it. It's also acting like you've already conducted this. And then also you're reminding yourself of what you need to do this week. So anyway, this week I am, you write the list of tactics here. And then over here, I write level ups just because it makes it feel more like a game to me. But you could write lag, something simple like that, because whatever it is that you're doing over here is what you're measuring. You're measuring the result over on the other side. And this is just your scorecard. All of the tactics, you can choose which direction you choose to write the tactics out if you're trying to reach a goal. What I did this time was I did my time blocking first, and then so that way I already had an idea of the different things I wanted to get done each day or each week. And then I went to the time block to see if I had time to do it. And then I created a few of these action cards and then went into the scorecard. So depending on how you want to do it, you could do the scorecard first and then write each of the action cards, or what I've done in the past is use action cards and then written down all of the tactics on each card and set it down on a table with batched pieces, created categories, and then divvied them up each week based off of what it was that those tactics were. So that's one way you could do it. Or you could then, again, like I said, just write the list here and then transfer it over to the action. Each of the actions then gets shoveled in front of the date that you would like to have it happen. So this is for the 12-week year. I should also mention that you can do this for regular day things. So like I said, washing the floor. With the Sidetracked Home Executives method, that's another book that you can read. There's a 12-week year. Sidetracked Home Executives. When I was talking about morning pages, it's the Artist's Way. That's with Julia Cameron. That's a 12-week process. She mirrored it off of Alcoholics Anonymous as far as the 12-step program. Hers is 12 weeks, and it goes through different steps. And part of the practice is doing the morning pages each day. And so if you're interested in reading more about that, that's from the Artist's Way. I'm trying to think if there's any other little things that I mentioned. So anyway, Sidetracked Home Executives has the method of being the frequency, like I was talking about, how long it takes, the subject, and the description. So you can include things like washing the floors, but then there's also those things like if you have summer camps that are coming up for your kids, or an opportunity where you have to register someone. This is something that happened to me as far as the winter goes. I didn't know when it was that the registration was coming up. So every Wednesday I set myself a reminder to go check, because you probably know this. It's impossible to register your kids for anything in the summer nowadays. Everybody needs the support as far as childcare goes. So there's all of that set for all the parents that need it for childcare, and there's those of us that want to enrich our kids during the summer that are trying to get in. And so it's just, it's a mess. So anyway, you write down, check for summer camp registrations or whatever it is specifically, and then have contact phone number, any other information that you need ready to go. And then what date that you might need to check it, how long it'll take you, that type of thing, and you can shuffle that. So this doesn't have to just be all goal-oriented activities when it comes to, working out or trying to grow a YouTube channel, whatever it is that your goal is. There's other things that you can include here. Anything that'll keep you off your phone or away from a to-do list, you can add to the card deck too. So you've got your tactics, you've got your scorecard. The scorecard, like I said, the week one was going behind 25 for us in this example. Everything there goes there. So if you were to say that you wanted to lose weight and first you wanted to check in with your doctor to get some stats done or some tests, you would then have one example of how you would handle a tactic card and where you would set this up in your card deck is that you would write, make a doctor's appointment, include the phone number here. Let's say that you're setting this up while watching TV late on a Friday night and just kind of relaxing, having fun. You would write the phone number that you reach him, the doctor's name, any kind of other contact information that you have in hand. And then in the corner, maybe jot down, you think this will take 10 minutes. Newsflash, if you're trying to make an appointment with a doctor, it's probably going to take a lot longer. That's just my experience lately. So then you're going to shuffle it to the day that you feel like you're going to actually take the time to call that doctor. So it's probably not going to be on a Saturday. So you would then shuffle it to, let's say you take care of it on the 20th and you're starting your 12-week year. You would place it in front of the 20 divider. And then again, depending on when or how you set up your 12-week year, you would have under the tactic, make a doctor's appointment. So that's to actually make the appointment. When you make the appointment, you can jot a note down of when it is that you have your doctor's appointment. Let's say that you set it up for sometime in June and the date divider, let's say it's June 19th and that's still in front of May. You would then set it in front of the June divider. And when it comes to a Wednesday or sometime that you look over upcoming appointments or dates or whatever it is, you would shuffle that in front of the 19th. And that's just a reminder as far as when you're setting up your days, that you don't put too much other stuff there, right? Because you're going to a doctor's appointment, it's probably going to take a while and it's going to be outside of your normal routine. So you're not going to put a bunch of extra things there. So it's just a visual cue, whether you use an online calendar as well. That's something that I really benefit from is using an online calendar too, especially when I was doing my time blocking. I was able to really easily edit the time blocks versus when I was using a planner in the past or any kind of like physical touch calendar. As much as I want to be off my phone, there's certain things like I was talking about with the Sephora store that I want to be competitive. I want to be making things easier for myself, and keeping those appointments on a really easily accessible place is helpful. Still, even though, like I said, I really benefit from the paper tactile experience and what the single actions allows me to be able to do. So again, it would then go in front of the June divider and then shuffle it in front of the 19th if that was coming up. And then you might want to have one of your tactic cards say something like, check monthly important dates, that type of thing. That's all available in my Just Get Started card deck, where there's these routine things that you do each month that you would shuffle. It's a monthly card and it would take you, 30 minutes to just prepare yourself. You're being your own personal secretary and making sure that everything is set to go for you. Any blank cards I place in front of my blanks divider. In this case, I didn't print out any type of miscellaneous divider, so you could just put it in front of the plan. Again, the plan divider is where you place all of your brainstorming or mind mapping about the tactics, and that just helps you as you go, bring you back. Oftentimes, I'll do some kind of doodling outside of the card deck on a piece of paper or just like morning pages that's trying to help me figure out what these tactics are to begin with or research, and then transfer it over here. In this case, for this week or this 12-week year, I didn't do that, but that's because I had done a lot of research leading up to it and taken a workshop and read 12 weeks to become 12 weeks for writers, 12-week year for writers. I think that's the book. And so I felt pretty confident in the areas that I wanted to take care of. So anyway, that's one of the things that you can do. Also, speaking of that, any week that you finish, so let's say we just finished week 2 and all of the tactic cards for week 2 were there because we just had our weekly accountability meeting, you'd then shuffle it in front of the plan. And then all of those cards would be in front of that scorecard too. And that way you're able to then be able to evaluate things easily, right? Because all of that is right there in your card deck and you can make changes. And when the 12 weeks over, the 12-week year is over, you can take week 1 through 12. I put them in Ziploc bags and I have them in our little cabinet up there. But eventually I'll just recycle them. And then you can take maybe some important pieces that you've learned from and then have like some type of divider that is quotes or I have a learn divider where you could shuffle those in front of there and just be able to reference them later on. So this is my little example. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to comment and ask them. I usually answer comments when I am on the treadmill or waiting for baseball to get over with. So I don't always answer immediately, but I definitely try and get to all of them. Also, YouTube sometimes can be kind of confusing as far as finding comments, especially I'll get a notification sometimes that'll be like a reply to what I replied, and then I can never find it again. So anyway, it's all a learning process, right? So then from there, you would put this in a card box that you could keep on your, like traditionally, this would be kept on your kitchen counter, that type of thing. Or you can get a bag or anything else that makes it really portable, and you can throw it into your backpack or your purse or wherever, and you can take it with you. When you're in your car, you can just kind of go through things waiting for the kids or waiting for laundry to get done and touch your plans and feel how things are going. There's so many different ways that you can make this a really versatile card deck. So I really enjoy it. But anyway, don't hesitate to comment with questions and check out those reference books as well as the products that I mentioned too, if you're interested in it. Anyway, I hope everyone's having a nice Friday. I am so grateful that it's sunny here. It is very windy at the moment. Actually, it's chilled out now that I'm thinking about it. But also, I can't hear the wind because I have my fancy headphones on and I'm using this fancy mic. So maybe it is windy, but I just can't hear it. We're definitely moving around, but that could also be because of the different barges that are coming in and out. It's incredible being over here because we see how the island gets propane and how we saw a house get moved once. Yeah, an entire house was brought onto a barge and taken off. I'm assuming going to like a smaller island. Oftentimes we'll see out on Friday Harbor, the main marina, you'll see, because that's where customs is. We're right next to Canada. So you'll see a barge come in every once in a while that's checking into the US from Canada because they sell houses off of Vancouver Island and bring them into the States. It's usually cheaper to purchase a house that was removed than to build from scratch or build from the foundation on. And so it's really fun to see houses being moved around on the islands. Nicole, thank you so much for the feedback. I'm so happy and grateful that the systems helped you out. And like I said, if you have questions, let me know. And then also, if you have a system, like a take on the index cards that's been working for you, don't hesitate to make a video or a photo and tag me in it. I'd be more than happy to share it out with others that could benefit from it because I think there's so many different ways. My life is definitely not as relatable, I think. I think it is because we're just living on a boat, but we're still living on a boat. And so if you're like working 9 to 5 or anything like that, it might be kind of fun to see how you incorporate the card deck too. So anyway, I won't keep you any longer. Thank you so much for coming to the live stream. I really appreciate it. And I hope to chat with you again soon. Thanks. Bye, guys.